All right, Patrick.
Hello, man. Thanks for having me.
What's up, my man? Thanks. It's my pleasure, bro. Today I've got the chance to have Patrick on. Patrick is an insurance specialist and he has a lot of things going on. And obviously, I'm going to give you the chance to introduce yourself and tell everybody a little bit more of what you do and your background in the insurance finance industry. But it's a pretty cool thing that we have him on today because he's going to be able to kind of cover some topics that most people don't think about when they're thinking about real estate, which is the insurance side of it. And I appreciate you reaching out to kind of, let me know that you'd be open to doing so. And anybody else that's open to kind of discussing any real estate based conversation with me, man, I would love to have those conversations with you. But for the moment, again, thank you for being here, Patrick. If you could take just a couple moments to introduce yourself, tell us who you are, what you do, what you have going on, that'd be great.
Of course. So, hey guys, my name is Patrick. I work as an insurance broker. My background goes way back to since I was 18 years old, so it's been 5 years. And I started as an insurance broker because I think this is a stable industry in which there's a lot of potential if you have the right contacts. So after 5 years, I have decided to open my own office, and I'm ready to go. So I'm reaching out to people like Karim because it's very important to have contacts in this industry because relationship-based industries such as insurance and real estate are very important in terms of contacts. So. My background, as I said, is in insurance, and I study in management at GMSP, Concordia. Of course, now I'm part-time because I have to concentrate on the business. And yeah.
That's great. So you've worked in insurance as an agent and as a broker in the past, and now you've opened up your own company, your own business,
exactly.
Right? So obviously that's something that off the bat is really interesting. I want to know more about you as a CEO, dealing with your own business, growing it. But before getting there, and we're going to get there, I want to know more about how insurance ties into real estate. Because, and I'll be honest with you guys and I'll be frank, insurance is not a very...
interesting
it's
subject.
Not the most enticing subject.
It's boring, let's be honest.
I mean, even he thinks it's boring. And he's told me in the past. But what's interesting about it is how it ties into the finance, how it ties into the real estate and the whole business surrounding it. So I want you to kind of give us an idea of how does insurance tie into real estate in terms of where does it come in play in the transaction and how does it protect you down the line? So first, if you could kind of give us an idea of at what point in time should somebody that's looking to buy a house, when should they be thinking about getting an insurance on their home?
That's a very good question, actually. So as you said, it's a boring thing to do, insurance. And
hey, I don't mean to offend you.
No, of course. No, I'm even admitting it myself, so no problem.
Okay, good stuff.
No problem. So at the end of the day, you have to do boring stuff in life because even though it's boring, it's necessary.
You've
right?
got to do boring stuff.
So to answer your question, insurance ties to real estate from many different angles. First things first, I'm going to talk from the customer's point of view, looking to buy a house, for example. Well, I'm not going to say sell a house because he doesn't need insurance if selling the house, right? Mm-hmm. So if he's looking to buy a house, let's say you're his real estate broker, you have different options, different listings for him. I think he should start shopping for insurance even before buying the house. He should get his quotes for different areas. Okay, so let's suppose he has a house. You have a house listing for him in Brossard, another one in Laval, another one in Montreal, and so on and so forth. I would advise the customer to do his quotes for insurance in advance because it will give him an idea in terms of budget. Because at the end of the day, insurance is something that people don't want to pay a lot. They don't want to pay a lot in terms of money because insurance, they think it's never going to happen to them. It's never. They're not gonna be in a certain type of situation, but at the end of the day, insurance is about risks. It's about a chance of something happening. It might happen, it might not happen. So yeah, I would say buy it, shop for insurance before. Now, why do they need to shop for insurance? There's a lot of reasons why. The first reason is from a legal point of view. Probably most people, right, they get a mortgage on the house. And when they get a mortgage on the house, the bank has what we call an insurable interest.
Okay.
What insurable interest means is simply if something was to happen to the house in terms of total loss, let's say there was a fire, God forbid, for any type of customer, and the house is completely destroyed and the customer doesn't have insurance, well, it's a financial loss on the bank because the customer is in a certain way using the money of the bank, right?
Yeah, because the mortgage makes it so that the bank has their hand in that whole deal. You know, at the end of the day, a mortgage is a secured loan. So that means that if you were to default on your property, I'm saying this only because I made a video on it in the past, and I kind of I got it ingrained in my head. If you default on your payments, the bank can take it back. The bank has some sort of authority on it. So
they have complete power.
Yeah. So of course, when you have insurance on your property, if there's anything that goes wrong, and there is, God forbid, a fire, they're going to take a big hit as well.
It's a financial loss, exactly. And so the name of the bank needs to be on the insurance policy. Now, where that ties to the real estate agent is, the real estate agent looks after the interest of the customer before his own, right? Mm-hmm. So at the end of the day, the real estate brokers, I know that you just started, but there's a lot of real estate brokers that have contacts with insurance brokers such as myself, because they want to offer the customer the complete experience. So, I did the deal for you. I also want to give you a contact to a guy I know that will give you a good price for insurance. And also it accelerates the process of finalizing the deal because the notary won't sign the papers before having the insurance contract in front of him. So that's why insurance agents are, in a certain way, I'm not gonna say important, because at the end of the day, it's the choice of the customer to go shop for insurance wherever he likes, but the insurance broker does the shopping himself.
Okay.
He has access to like 40 different companies, so he accelerates the process for the customer and for the real estate broker. Because at the end of the day, you wanna take your time, but sometimes it stalls because the customer is being hung up on the price of a certain insurance policy.
Makes sense. And the question that I had as well is because I had the chance to talk with the guy right before you in terms of mortgages and pre-approvals and the final approval. And from his end, he kind of said that your pre-approval, what you pre-approve for, the value, the amount, can change between the pre-approval and the final approval. And that depends on tons of different factors. Now, you said go shop for a quote or an insurance quote even before you choose the house. Is it possible that you shop for a quote, you get a certain value, you get a number, and then you find the house as well? Is it possible that numbers change? Is it possible that your quote differs?
In terms of insurance, it can always change. Okay. I like your question, by the way, because
Thank you.
It opens doors to give you as much information as I can. So it's a good question. Now, it all depends on the information the customer gave on the house. So on the type of foundation, on the framing of the house, on the number of rooms, because sometimes when I speak with a customer, he didn't go to see the house yet. He calls me, he tells me, listen, I have this address, can you give me a price? Sometimes customers think that insurance is something that you buy quickly, but no, because there's a risk assessment of what's happening. So if they give me a wrong information, for example, there's a wooden stove rather than des plantes électriques, le chauffage électrique. Well, that changes the complexity of the price because it's more risky to have this type of
the wooden stove.
Exactly,
because you've got higher risks of
having a fire, right? So it all depends on the type of information he gives, and the price might change. But if he gives you the right information, the price will not change. It's a risk assessment based on information that is very crucial to the insured I am dealing with, and it always depends. Some insurers will not look at certain factors, and other insurance might look at other factors. Do you know what I mean?
So different companies have different standards.
Different norms, different standards.
Okay,
exactly. And another factor that might influence the price of the insurance is the replacement cost. So the replacement cost of the house is, if God forbid again, because something were to happen, there was a total loss on the house, how much would it cost in the current market to reconstruct the house? So the higher the replacement cost, the more expensive the insurance premium.
Definitely.
Now,
Because the materials are more expensive.
exactly, and also it depends in which region. Now, I don't want to go too much in technicality, but two houses with the same frame, okay, Karim, with the same characters. Let's take two identical houses and put them in two different regions.
Yeah.
One in Montréal Nord, let's say, and another one in Brossard.
I kind of already have an idea of where you're going with this. Tell me, yeah.
Yeah, so of course the house in Montréal Nord will cost, the insurance will cost probably more because you're in an area where risks of vandalism is higher, risk of theft is higher, so the neighborhood is more risky.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's a lot of factors. Sometimes customers ask me questions, my friend has this house, I have the same house, why does he pay less in insurance? It depends on a lot of factors. Now we're talking about real estate, so I'm not gonna go too much into the details, but credit score, claims frequency, criminal records, all of that stuff influences.
That makes a lot of
the price.
sense.
And demographic factors, age, whether you're married or not, so yeah.
So since you said that, now I kind of want to push it a little bit further. I want to kind of get a bit more out of these standards, out of what it is that actually affects the quote. Now, you mentioned that it's a question of risk assessment. The higher the risk, obviously, the more expensive it's going to be, and you very easily were able to explain in different regions why one house would be a riskier investment than another. That makes sense. Now, as you mentioned as well, in terms of getting a quote at the beginning, before you even find the house, we can't really assess the risk of the house since we don't know which house you're gonna buy, we don't know which sector. So we're only basing ourselves off of the person. Is that correct?
No. No, the thing is, we need to have an address. We cannot give you a house insurance without an address. So
I see, okay.
yeah, so you know, let's suppose you have different houses that you might propose to your customer, right? Even if he didn't go to the house, he doesn't know a lot of information. We have real strong technology that can determine in advance if there's a basement, how many floors, how many stories, what type of construction is the house made from, is it brick, is it wood, you know, all of that stuff. But there's some information that, you know, as much as our technology is strong, we don't have access to. So it goes back to the customer himself answering those questions. And of course, at the end of the day, if he gives the right answers, well, we'll be able to assess the risk in a very complete way.
Okay, so in terms of the risk assessment, that's strictly dependent on the house. Is there anything that is depending on the person himself?
It depends. It's a very very interesting question, but it depends because, as I told you, some companies have different standards than another. Now, the type of well, you know, how to explain it. The person might have a criminal record. Okay.
Yeah.
One company, right, might say, okay, this is too much of a risk for us. Another one might say, you know, it was 15 years ago, we don't care about it anymore. We're gonna treat you the same way we treat other normal customers because he's a human being as well.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
sometimes, you know, insurance companies, they don't want to go down that road, depending on the moral risk. Moral risk is the person. So it all depends from the company, as I told you. It's a very complicated market. It's you have to talk with an agent, such as myself, because at the end of the day, the agent knows a lot more than you do. So he's gonna make the choice for you because, ethically speaking, if the agent chooses something that puts his own interest before the customers, he's gonna be in hot water.
Definitely, and I think from your end, you've kind of painted a very, very clear picture on where insurance comes into play in the real estate transaction, why it's important, and different aspects that kind of determine what kind of quote you can expect and what's it's based on.
Yeah.
I want to circle back to what we mentioned, or at least what you mentioned at the beginning, because it's something that I find very interesting, and it's something that I kind of want these talk shows and these podcasts to kind of diversify in that direction is to meet people like yourself that are entrepreneurs, that are business oriented, and that have a kind of a financial mindset, and kind of question them on their perspectives, their beliefs, and kind of where they're coming from. So you said that you have your own company, your own insurance company. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? When did you start it? I'd like to know kind of what prompted you to go into it and where you're at right now with it.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk about this. So I started as a broker 5 years ago when I was 18, because my father, wanted me to be a doctor. I didn't follow that road because
that smells like Arabic.
Exactly. That smells like Arabic. That smells like Lebanese.
Guys, this is no joke. Either you're a lawyer, or you're a doctor, architect,
or you're a failure.
Or you're a failure. So currently, right now, I'm a failure, guys.
Both of us.
It's nice to meet you.
So he wanted me to be a doctor since I was young. He put me through like the best schools. Brébeuf, it's private school.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like this is part of my world. I'm a person that needs to be independent. I like science, but I don't see myself working in it. So I thought to myself, I need an industry in which I can be very stable, because let's be honest, insurance is one of the most stable industries you're ever gonna have.
Stable?
Stable.
Ooh, I would want you to explain exactly what you mean.
Because it's a market where there's always a need.
Okay.
No matter the situation in the world, in the country, in the area in which you operate from. People thought that during COVID, for example, the sales would decrease, but they didn't, because insurance is something that you always need. People always shop for car insurances. I'm talking about car insurance. People, when they buy a house, they need an insurance. People, when they buy a business, they need an insurance.
Okay, that makes sense. In that perspective, there's always a need. There's always a demand for it.
There's always a need. Even if there's a world war, insurance will be needed. So from that point of view, I found it very enticing, very appealing to me to go down that road. I actually looked also to be a real estate broker.
Oh, yeah?
But I chose a different path because I think it fits better my personality and my business mind. I chose to go into insurance. I started part-time while I was at school. Part-time, then went full-time, finished, sold my portfolio, went to get more experience as an agent. When you work as an agent, you're actually working with one company. As a broker, you have deals, contracts with many companies to offer products. I went to TD Insurance, to get the knowledge from a more bureaucratical point of view.
Okay.
So, because as a broker, yes, there's rules, there's guidelines you have to follow, but when you work in a bank, you're put in a box, right? So you're more ready to go back as a broker because you have that experience of being disciplined. So I went to TD Bank, and then once I felt I was ready to move on to the next chapter, I quit TD and opened my company. And I had this objective since I was 18. I always thought that if you work for yourself, it's better. And the opportunity that I give people that want to work with me, for example, who want to work with me, is that they're not my employees. They're my partners. They come to work. I give them the platform because I have the contracts with the insurance companies. I give them the platform to sell the products, and I treat them as partners rather than employees, because I don't believe in employees. I believe in partners. I believe in investing in people rather than anything else, because people, for me personally, is the most important part of a business. I think people are the business.
Well, hey, you say that, and I don't know why you mentioned that your personality is more inclined towards insurance, because what you just said is very much a real estate mindset in terms of there's agents that, for example, may not necessarily have not build their own agency, but could be under an agency like Royal Lepage or Remax and have their own team. and then have agents underneath them and des adjoints and all these different pieces that kind of it's a mini company inside of a company. So the way that works as well is, these are all partners to your work, whether it's agents that are just for buyers, agents that are only for sellers, people that generate leads, and to see you kind of have that mindset with the people that you work with, which is you work with me in terms of you're a partner and you're not an employee, is nice, because then you kind of also attract people that are very entrepreneurial. And people that are entrepreneurial, I know a lot of them, I myself, I'm somebody like that, are not going to want to go work for somebody because they feel like they're not going to be able to build their dreams. But maybe for you, since you're not put into a box a bit like TD, you have more freedom, you have more space to be creative with what you do.
Exactly.
So I think in that terms, I'm not saying whether you're right or wrong because I'm not in your position, but I think it's more enticing for people to come and work with you. That's for sure.
Exactly. And you talked about having agents beneath you and like Remax and whatever. The structure of real estate agencies is pretty similar to insurance brokerage offices. It fits my personality from the sense, I watched the video with Keon Johnson, my boy.
Thank you.
He's
also my boy.
Yeah. So he's more of a people pleaser. He likes to be in good terms with everybody. Not that I don't, but sometimes you have to make choices that might seem harsh. People might perceive you in a certain way, and I think in the real estate industry you cannot do that.
Oh yeah?
I don't think
you kind of have to fit to everybody?
Exactly. I don't think you can. I don't think you can do. Whereas in the insurance industry, working as yourself, you can choose whether to accept a customer in your portfolio or refuse.
That's pretty interesting. Okay, that's what you think? You think that an agent kind of has no choice but to work with any sort of person, any portrait of clientele?
Well, I'm not saying that because I don't really know that much your industry in terms of day-to-day operations and how it works. I know more from a technical point of view. But I think that maybe, correct me if I'm wrong, but maybe in your industry, you don't have this margin of choosing whether you want to work with this customer or not.
I think to a certain degree you're right, because in terms of the business, and I'll tell you guys this because I think it could be pretty interesting. So there's one thing that I want to mention to complement what you just said. As a real estate agent or real estate broker, for most agents, the main problem is finding the clients. So you'd be right in saying that if you don't have a lot of leads, if you don't have a lot of clients, maybe the average real estate agent makes 4 deals a year. That means he's dealing with 4 couples, 4 people per year. If he gets a 5th, if he gets a 6th, even if he doesn't really, vibe with them, he doesn't really connect with them very well, he probably is gonna kind of, shut up and still do the deal and kind of be agreeable with them because he has to win their business. I agree with you there. And as an insurance agent or an insurance specialist, insurance broker, my brother is an insurance agent.
What does he do? Life?
Invalidité.
Invalidité, yeah. This is something I'm looking at going into maybe later, but now I'm looking more at like a commercial car and how. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, it's okay, yeah.
But does he like it?
Yeah, he likes it. It's tough, but it's sales because it's his first sales job, so that's why it's a bit tough, but he's liking it. He's learning,
But invalidité and life insurance is a lot harder to sell.
Yeah, but the point I was trying to make is him, for example, he's getting a lot more leads, he's dealing with a lot more clients. So
of course.
At a certain degree, from your end, you have a little bit more leeway to choose who you want to deal with because you're dealing with a lot of people. But once you get established to a certain degree, once you're working with, for example, Remy Kanaan, Keon Johnson, these are 2 people that I've had on the podcast recently. When you're working with them, you're getting a good amount of leads, a good amount of people that want to work with you, and you kind of have the chance to work with who you want to work and not who you don't want to. So I believe you're right, but I believe in certain circumstances, if you've built your business in a certain way, you get the opportunity to work with people that I feel like don't force you to act like somebody that you're not. you know.
I understand what you mean, and I probably agree with what you're saying, because it depends how long you have been in the industry, and
It does.
also depends
It definitely does.
on your personality, because I think Kian and Remy, those guys are guys that are made for real estate. You know what I mean? They have the personality, but a lot of people, and you have the personality too as well. I'm very impressed.
Thank you very much. Just to say this, and I'm not saying this just because I want to, but I'm very impressed as well in terms of what you've been able to do and your whole background in finance. I mean, I've had a conversation with him obviously before we started filming. He's a super, super, super good guy, and he's a very knowledgeable guy as well, a very professional person. If you guys are interested in insurance or have any questions, feel free to contact him.
Thank you so much for the promotion.
You were saying that thank you, man. I appreciate it. I like to have these conversations. The main reasons why I'm doing all of this is because I think most people have questions and then go and Google it and probably don't get the best answers. But the best answers comes from people like you that are specialists in their field and that really have une autorité and credibilité to what they're saying. So
exactly.
It's a good thing and it's a pleasure to have you on.
Thank you so much. Exactly what you just said. It's no matter how much you go to the internet to look at information, nothing in the sales industry, no matter what, insurance, real estate, car, hell, even if you're selling a pen, okay, is better than human contact. This, I think, real estate, insurance, those industries will never be robotized. They will always be real persons live dealing in a certain way. Now, to close the deal of the argument of me choosing the customers, there's another reason as well. When you're working as an insurance broker, you have sometimes to refuse customers because you have to build a portfolio that has a good loss ratio. What does loss ratio mean?
I'm sorry to cut you off, but I think if you could just move here to the side a little bit, because in terms of how we see you, we can see your face a little bit better if you're here.
Of course, no problem. Sounds good.
You guys are seeing us well?
Yeah, I think they're okay.
You think they're okay?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah, as you're saying, sorry.
Yeah, so when you're building a portfolio, your loss ratio needs to be under 40%. What does that mean? It's very simple. Let's say you have sold $1 million in insurance premiums in a year. That means that in terms of claims, those customers that you collected 1 million from, in terms of not your revenue, in terms of numbers, premiums, if they make claims for more than $400,000 while your portfolio is destroyed, you don't have a good loss ratio, and you're losing money.
So your risk assessment in choosing your clientele at the get-go has to be very good so that doesn't end up happening, right?
Exactly, because at the end of the day, it can lead you into a lot of in hot water with the insurers. They can stop dealing with you. You destroy your own portfolio. So if one day you want to sell it, either you won't be able to sell it, or the company negotiating with you will drive the price to the ground, and you're gonna lose a lot of money. So that's another reason, just to close this.
Okay. Yeah. You want to kind of give us an idea of for your company, how we can reach you? What's the name of your company? If you want to talk about it a little bit more, and what stage you're at right now with building it. Is it complete? Is it ready to go? Are you dealing with clients, or are you still in the process of building it?
It's I'm at a lot of stages at the same time. The name of my company is Parassurance Groupe.
Okay.
Groupe Parassurance. Parassurance because in French parapluie, assurance, so Parassurance.
Okay.
I'm trying to be a little bit innovative with the
creative.
Exactly.
Good.
The company is incorporated. Now I'm just waiting for the papers from the l'Autorité des marchés financiers, which is the entity that governs all the financial market, to send me the papers so I can start selling insurance.
All right, and when do you expect to be able to have all the documents ready to go?
I think within the next 2 weeks everything will be done.
Okay. That's some cool stuff, man.
Yeah, it takes a lot of time. You have to be patient. You have to be consistent in what you do. In terms of customers, Mainly, I have already a reputation as a broker in the industry, in the sense that I have a lot of contacts. Even when I was at TD, customers from my previous job as a broker would contact me and tell me, "Come back, man, we need you." I come back, and I have this base of customers that want to deal with me. And of course, you have to expand your leads in marketing, also talking with people like you. Because I love dealing with real estate brokers. It's a very good relationship that I want to build good relationships with you, with Remy, with Kian, with a lot of real estate brokers, because I think it's important, because at the end of the day, you want to see me succeed and I want to see you succeed, right? You bring me something to the table, I give you something back. Because
that makes a lot of sense. That's what a business relationship is.
Exactly, that's the way it works. So I think real estate brokers are one of the most important leads to an insurance broker.
Yeah.
I personally believe that because, if you're an amazing real estate broker like Remy, like Ian, 7 deals in 3 months, man, he just began. That's crazy.
It's a big deal. He's a star.
Yeah, that's crazy. 7 deals in 3 months. That's amazing. And hopefully you will be doing a lot of deals. So, at the end of the day, you give me a customer because you sold the house to him. I give him insurance. You're in the good side of the customer because he's saying to himself, he's taking care of me way beyond my expectations.
Yeah.
You win a referencing commission because that's what I do. I give gift cards or a certain amount of money, because at the end of the day, why would you give me that for free? Yes, I'm serving your customer, but at the end of the day, it's a referencing relationship. Like Remy would call me like, bro, I have a customer for you. I would take it. I would insist on giving him a reference. He would refuse, but at the end of the day,
it's a question of ethics and relationships. And what I want to add on to what you're saying, and I kind of want to close it there because I feel like it's a very nice place to close it. It's a good thing that I got the chance to talk with people like you and people like every person that I've had before you here, because every single one of you guys have kind of mentioned the same thing, which is at the end of the day, when it comes to these things, it's a lot about who you know, it's a lot about the relationships you've built, and it's a lot about, how much you're able to go and meet new people and develop those relationships with these people. Like, if any of you guys, I know there's some people that follow me that have asked me in the past, like, I want to become an agent. What should I do? What are the different steps? And look, obviously, yes, of course, you've got to go to school. You've got to get your license. You've got to sign with an agency. But that's the basics of the basics. What I would recommend, based off of what I'm hearing from people that have been in this industry for a long time, and off of, just meeting with you guys, is if you're interested in something, if you're interested in building something for yourself, or if you have any sort of, objectives, go meet people that have done it. Go meet people that are close to that industry. That's why I'm talking with you as an insurance agent, broker, specialist. That's why I'm talking with Evgeny as a mortgage specialist, and so on and so forth. Go talk to these people, because the more connections you make, the more opportunities open up. And this is exactly what's happening right now through you and me. I mean, I filmed the video with Evgeny right before with you. That's why maybe you can kind of see I'm wearing the same outfit. I took my jacket off. But between those two videos, Patrick and Evgeny met. And you guys exchanged info. And you guys kind of built that relationship
like that.
Just like that.
Simple, yeah.
So guys, you never know how it ends up. Go out, meet people, and develop these relationships, because you never know where it takes you.
Exactly. Before closing, that's an amazing way to close it. Before closing, I want to ask you a question. Can you study for real estate without going to school? Like,
No.
Can you take the books and then study it and then just go do the exam?
Well, look, it's a bit weird, because from what I know, you need to go to school. And that's something that has changed recently, fairly. Before, you didn't necessarily have to go to school. You can just take the information, study it on yourself, do your exam. The exam at l'OASIC. L'OASIC is the entity that governs everything real estate in Quebec. However, Remy, I know, was able to do his license and get it completed just by him having the books and studying.
Like
and
me,
then
that's what I did in insurance. I went, bought the books, studied. Normally it takes 1 year. 1 month.
You did it in 1 month?
Even three weeks. Did it because I put an objective in my head. I have to get it done and start right away. So it all depends also on on your motivation, man, because people might see it as, I have to study, but no, you learn and you go straight into the market to start building what you have dreamt of building since you were young. So at the end of the day,
everybody wants to see everybody succeed. Truly, when you work and you're trying to develop something from yourself, and you start realizing how much work it takes, you start realizing how much dedication and persistence it takes. When you see somebody else working at their craft, it drives you, and then there's a sense of sympathy as well and empathy. I want to see you succeed, and you want to see me succeed, and that's where business relationships and relationships point blank start to develop and become beneficial. Guys, go and meet new people, put yourself out there, and if you really have an objective and a dream, and I'm not trying to make this a motivational podcast, but quite frankly, if you do, don't be scared to go after it.
Of course.
Right?
Of course. So that's a good way to end it. Thanks, guys. So if you want to,
how can we reach you?
Yeah, if you want to follow me on Instagram, it's Parassurance. Parassurance. Okay? My phone number is 450-236-0088. And, I would have given you a business card I would have shown you, but it's in my car.
Khalas, معلش, I'll take a picture of it. We'll put it at the end,
Thank you so much for having me, Karim.
Okay.
It's appreciated.
Thank you, man.
Thank you so much, man. And
it.
I hope we will have a long blossoming relationship in the future.
So do I. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.